Good morning. It's 9:30, and I'd like to call the April 9th Athabasca County Council meeting to order. 9:30. Test. We have it working now. Okay, back in business. First item of business is to look at the agenda. The items for discussion to begin with at least are 2.1, 3.1, 6.1, 6.2, 8.2, and 11.1. Are there any other additions or deletions? Councillor Holland?
7.1, please.
Councillor Holland, what, 7.1? Other additions? Councillor Minns, hands up.
May as well do 10.1D.
10.1D.
D, yeah.
Okay. Other additions or deletions? Councillor Cromwell.
Approve as presented.
Okay, I think we should add anything else. Sorry. Councillor Anderson. Councillor Anderson, 5.2, 5.3. So I'll go over the list again. Councillor Cromwell has moved the agenda as amended. Or as proposed. We have item number 2.1, 3.1, 5.2, 5.3, 6.1, 6.2, 7.1, 8.2, 10.1D, and 11.1. Councillor Cromwell has moved the agenda. Is there any further discussion? On the question of the adoption of the agenda as presented, all those in favor? And opposed? The count is 9-0 and the motion is adopted. 3.1, the reason I added that is on page 5 of your agenda, the very first page of the minutes, under the words approval of the minutes. We need to delete the sentence that reads, "This line was not selected for debate," because it actually was selected for debate. But barring that, I saw nothing else with that. Is there any other errors or omissions in the minutes? And if not, is someone willing to move them? Councillor Chandler? You're moving, or have Councillor Chandler has moves the minutes as amended? If there's no further discussion on the question of the adoption of the minutes as amended, all those in favor? Opposed? Count was 9-0 and the motion is adopted. 5.2, Councillor Anderson.
I don't have a motion coming forward.
Is there anyone willing to move the motion? Councillor Holland?
As recommended.
Do you want to speak to it?
No, I think it's important that we go forward with this recommendation. We have several reasons why this is something we should be doing, and if we want to have that conversation, we can go ahead now, but for now, I'm happy to talk about the go forward with the recommendation.
Okay, other discussion? Councillor Cromwell?
Thank you all. As I made the notice of motion, I think it's very important that we're transparent, that we're open to the public, to the ratepayers, that they hear what is going on, they see what is going on. And as committee of the whole is a very encompassing meeting. There's nothing that should be hidden away. And though our meetings are open for the public to come on in, given that we already are doing live streaming, I think it's a very reasonable and important that we add this to that live streaming policy and get that out there for everyone to be able to view and enjoy.
Other comments? I feel like once again, we're circling back on a decision that's already been decided by council, and we're being asked in this case to make a decision to even direct administration to do something without any explanation for why we should reconsider a settled item. And so like that, on that note, I think to me, the process around notice of motions should be discussed at greater length by council in a different forum. Because I feel like this request could easily have been handled through a request for decision that sought the same outcome, which would have required an explanation on why we should take this up. And I think, you know, popping a sentence on that asks for a decision under a different named document, or it doesn't, it lacks the transparency we're looking for. And there's been no reason to support the motion for me. So, you know, a little more than a year ago, or a little more than a year has passed since we actually talked about this. And I would really like to see us focus on new work instead of recycling past decisions. And so simply on the principle of how this is before us, I would reject it if not for the lack of merit. Is there other comments? Councillor Holland, you made the motion, you get the final word. Seeing none, the word is yours, and I'll call the question.
Thank you very much. I think since we've had that conversation a year ago, it's also been brought to our attention that when we have the press that comes in and are able to record these particular meetings, and we don't have a recording, it makes it pretty tricky to collaborate and understand that maybe something has been misread or misinterpreted, or and we don't have that ability. And it also aids our administration to be able to complete minutes and to follow through with the conversation that had taken place. So I think it's extremely important that we move forward into what technology that we have, we utilize it, and it's a complete benefit to all.
On the question of the adoption of the motion, that by the last meeting in May, administration prepares a report on the feasibility, cost, and opportunity for live streaming the committee of the whole meetings and any other considerations, including practices used in other municipal jurisdictions, as this fits within Pillar 4, the strategic, effective leadership and organizational excellence. Those in favor? Opposed? The count is 5 and 4, and the motion is adopted. Sorry, I voted. That question 5.3. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you. While we had previously discussed and voted in opposition to the live streaming of COW meetings, the live typing of motions on the projector, it was a new initiative that's being brought to the table. It's being brought under this format with no real explanation as to why. And I'm quite opposed to adding more items to administration's list of things to do
Do you have a motion?
until after the strategic planning session is done. So I would move to table this item until after the strategic planning session.
Councillor Anderson has moved that this item be tabled until after the strategic planning session. On the question of tabling the item till after the strategic planning session, all those in favor? Opposed? The count is 6 and 3, and the motion is tabled. The next item on your agenda is the 6.1. The recommended motion is that council provide third and final reading to the bylaw regarding fees for planning and development. Is there anyone willing to move third reading? Councillor Cromwell?
So moved.
Councillor Cromwell has moved third reading of 003-204. Any discussion on that bylaw? Seeing none, on the question of the adoption of third reading of 003-2024, all those in favor? And opposed? The motion is adopted 9 and 0. Moving on to page 21, bylaw number 005-2024. Councillor Minns as
I'll move it forward.
Councillor Minns has moved the recommended motion, which is to give first reading to 005-2024, which is a land use bylaw amendment for portions of the Northwest 2769-17 W4 from agricultural district to campground, or C5, and also to direct admin to schedule and advertise a public hearing for May 14th at 9:30 a.m. for bylaw 005-2024. Is there any discussion on that matter? Quiet. On the question of the adoption of the motion to give first reading to 005-2024, which is a land use bylaw amendment for portions of Northwest 276917-4 from agriculture to C5 campground district, and to direct admin to schedule a public hearing on May 14th at 9:30 a.m. for bylaw 0052024. All those in favor? Opposed? The count is 9-0 and the motion is adopted. 7.1, Councillor Holland.
Hi there. The motion I'd like to put forward is to receive this for information.
Councillor Holland has made a motion to receive for information. Any discussion? Councillor Holland, you can open the discussion as to why.
Well, I think that this sets quite a precedence, with regards to our donations. We do have a policy, I believe it's 62, can't remember the name, 629575, something like that, where, donations can come through the CAO. And I think that that's the direction that this should have taken. With the requests that we're seeing here, it creates a whole other addition to administration with regards to hold harmless. It creates other issues that we're looking at here. And I also have a concern when we have such a large request. And we also have sponsorships that have taken place for this around the table, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's best that we receive this one for information.
Councillor Kapitanek.
I actually,
Microphone.
I think that this is a really great way for the county to show some support for the Rotary Club. Many, and I would say many, all projects are used by county residents just as much as town residents. We do have in our standing budget, we always sponsor the Road to Hope Golf Tournament for $1,500 every year. And I think that's always been a really great show of support. And I don't see that starting to support other clubs is a negative. A load of gravel is actually a common donation. It's something that does bring in money for our projects. Inland has donated gravel in the past. Bilski's have donated gravel, and it's surprisingly a very, very popular item to bid on. It can bring much more than its value because of its usefulness. I'm actually surprised that we would have to even consider supporting what, as this letter states, the largest single donating club to the pool and fitness center and the field house, which are county and town owned amenities. So I'd really like to speak in favor of this donation, and I guess the amendment would have,
Well,
we'd have to make an amendment.
You have to defeat the motion and then make a
Okay,
new
well, I
motion.
hope that we defeat the motion and can make an amendment to make a donation towards this fundraising event for our community.
Other comments? Councillor Mins?
I guess what I'm wondering about is I understand the load of gravel and stuff like that, but it's the actual placement of the gravel where we get into kind of a conundrum of this gravel could actually end up going to Westlock, could end up going to Thorhill, could end up going to Lac La Biche, could end up going in
Point of
within an
information,
hour, within
of
an hour
information.
of Athabasca County.
Is required?
That's hitting Westlock, that's hitting Lac La Biche, that's hitting. And that's the only thing that I kind of got a little bit of a pushback on this, is just due to the fact that all of a sudden now we have county trucks going outside of county with county gravel to drive into somebody's yard and place this gravel. Could anything happen? Yeah, it could happen. Could it not? Yeah, it could not. It's just we're splitting hairs here now. I think if they, maybe wanted to, we could donate 10 yards of gravel. Somebody find a way to haul it. I don't know. It's just it's a gray area for me. Because there's no, are we gonna get a whole harmless to where we have to haul this gravel to?
Councillor Cromwell, you had a point of information you want to make?
Yes, thank you. Perhaps to administration who wrote the RFD here. Can you please define, just so that we're all on the very same page, delivered within the county or equivalent and approximate delivery of 1 hour away, as my friend across the table stated, that is a very, very wide and very open interpretation, easily reaching into other counties and easily not reaching into parts of our own county, how it's written. So I would like a very clear answer on what is that delivery
Okay.
radius.
CIO, do you understand the question?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yeah, we're happy to entertain any amendment to the suggested wording that achieves, I think if you're worried about straying beyond our municipal boundaries to another county, absolutely, that's a fair comment, but it could go to another municipality within our boundaries, for example, in a summer village or the Towner Village, if someone bids on it. We're just trying to capture, the furthest away that one of our residents might be, and it could be an hour away. But we absolutely understand the concern about straying beyond our external municipal border. I hope that addresses the question, but there could be boundary issues within the county, meaning town village or summer village. So that's why it's worded a little bit funny.
Councillor Wallach.
I think this is a great donation to have. We see time and time again that nonprofits and charities around the area take our money and double and triple what they can do with it. They are good at using money better than municipalities. Let's be real. And they can take their money and stretch it. So I think this is a great donation. If it goes to somebody outside of our county, it looks good on us. Like it looks good that our county is providing a service to a nonprofit and these people we're benefiting from it. So I think it's a great donation. I think we should be supporting nonprofits and societies in our area because they do a lot for the community and they can take our money and stretch it further.
Councillor Holland, you get the final word, so I will not come to you. Councillor Gerlich.
Yeah, I have no problem with making some type of a contribution, but it would be nice if it was something that was clean, that didn't cause any controversy, like just a straight sponsorship or whatever.
You've
Uh,
Councillor Gerlich has the floor.
Yeah, it's just we shouldn't be engaging in things that require debate. It should be just sort of cut and dry.
We only go around once. Who hasn't? Councillor Shamzik or Anderson?
Well, I mean, my concern is always, making sure, I think we're a forward-looking county, looking into all of our nonprofits, making sure that it would be equitable for any nonprofit to be able to receive a contribution similar to this or that type of value is always something to look into our policies as well.
Councillor Anderson, then Cromwell.
I'm in favor of the donation request. I think it's quite simple when I look at it, and I just can't believe we're having this much discussion about one simple load of gravel.
Councillor Cromwell, you have the floor.
Thank you. Well, I think having a conversation on just a load of gravel is very important, as there are a lot of roads and areas in our county with people waiting to get gravel and waiting, for that cycle to come through. And it is a very important conversation. This is large donations, much more than our standard policy and how we do it, and very precedent setting. I also would like clarification, please, as I'm quite offended by a comment from the other side of the table saying our administration does a worse job than a board, than a committee. And I think that was a very negative thing to be hearing across the table.
Okay, other comments? You've spoken. we're not gonna get into cross-table debate, and I think that, we support a lot of projects as a county, and we do lots of donations around. And this, to me, is an opportunity to provide a donation to something that, for very little actual costs, utilizes a resource that we have. So it's not a big cash outlay. Very much like when we've used our equipment to do other work, moving barricades for the Trails Network group or other things. We take resources we have and we utilize them to advance the interests of the community and the region and to try to make things better. Really, where would our region be if it wasn't for service groups like the Ag Societies and the Lions Club and the Rotary Club? And it is not lost on me that, through events like we're being asked to support, the Rotary or Lions, they bring the community together and get things done. And, in this particular case, these guys are the single largest donor to the sports and recreation facility in the region. That's done because they bring the region together to make something happen. So I am opposed to the current motion, but support the recommended motion. Now, the only one who hasn't spoken was me. Councillor Holland, I'll give you the final word and call the question.
Thank you. I appreciate the words that are being discussed here this morning. And this is what council's all about, is a healthy debate and having these conversations. And I do support all of our nonprofits. I support all of the work that they do. I value the work that they do, and I think it's extremely important. However, when we're looking at situations like this, when we have such strong representation from the Rotary at the table, it also brings an element of optics and that conflict that's there. And it's optics, but it's there.
Can you define that, please?
Having a strong representation at this table
Which
with
are?
Rotary members and voting on Rotary's initiatives. We also are concerned about the Rotary initiative, that one of the items that is here is a helipad we haven't got all information on. We don't know for sure what's going on with
Keep it
that.
focused to the motion, please.
I am keeping focus to the motion and conversation with regards to supporting our nonprofits and what that they do. We also have to remember that this council was very concerned with regards to dropping some boulders to help out the trail to protect our own infrastructure. So we have these things that we can do it sometimes here, we can do it sometimes here, but it's not consistent. And I really struggle. Like I say, setting a precedent of such a high value for a donation that's coming through that we haven't really done in the past. And so I again urge people to really sit down and have a look at this. Receive this for information doesn't mean it's off the table. It means that we're not prepared to do this at this time. I think more needs to be looked into this. I think more information needs to come forward with how this is going to roll out. And if there's another donation that seems to be a little more less controversial, I think that's something that we can look at. Again, we have the policy 6275 that, we can offer county merchandise as swag to go forward with the silent auction, all of those things. But we have to remember, we have members here that have already done sponsorship. So of course there's going to be the
Just as
optics
a
of
point of
price.
in reference, that's irrelevant.
Not really.
Point of
Hey,
order, cross
no,
the table
whoa, whoa, hey,
conversation.
Councillor Cromwell, enough. On the question of the adoption of the motion to receive this item for information, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion is defeated 6-0. Is someone willing to make a motion? Sorry, 3 and 6, and the motion is defeated. Councillor Wallach.
I'd like to make the recommended motion, please.
Councillor Wallach has moved that the county approve a donation of 1 tandem load of 3/4-inch crushed gravel delivered within the county or equivalent to the Rotary Club for their 2024 celebrity dinner. Discussion on that item. Councillor Mike.
I would very much speak in favor of making a donation to a local service club that will help them raise money towards the Sunshade Pavilion at the riverfront that goes alongside the spray park and the playground and the other family used areas in our community, especially in summer when the sun is very bright and also when it's raining. Keeping in mind that this is a long-term project that can be built on. And there can be utilization for the River Rats Festival and other riverfront activities. And I think that's what we're keeping in mind, that this is what's happening. This is what this gravel goes towards.
On the motion, other discussion. Counselor Gerlich.
Again, I'm not real happy with the form of the contribution, but in consideration of being consistent with other contributions we've made to other organizations, I feel I have no choice but to support it.
Other comments? Seeing none, do you want final word, Councillor Wallach? Okay, on the question of the adoption of the motion to approve a donation of 1 tandem load of 3/4 inch crushed gravel delivered within the county or equivalent to the Rotary Club for their 2024 celebrity dinner, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion is adopted. The count is 6-3. On your agenda, we're at item 8.2, which is calendars. CAO Beck, you said to me you had a couple things you wanted to bring up. You want to start with those?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Summer Village of Mawatha Beach has asked for a council meeting. And they proposed some dates, May 2nd, 9th, or 23rd, and they're proposing evening.
Could I propose the 23rd would not be a good day because we'll have spent the balance of it together doing strat planning, and my guess is that most of us will be tired by the end of that. Councillor Wallach?
Is it gonna be, where are we hosting this?
Yeah, they were suggesting Boyle.
We have a hall in Elscott. Okay, Boyle sounds nice. Is there a preference around the table for the 2nd or the 9th? Councillor Chamzik?
The 2nd will work better. The 9th, I'll be gone to convention.
It's a Thursday night. It's generous of them to come up to the lake early, but I can understand why you'd want to get to the lake early. Is there any objection to proposing to the Council of Mawatha that the May 2nd would be reasonable for us? Would you prefer the 9th, Councillor Gerlich? That which doesn't work for Councillor Chamzik, I guess?
I mean, we can't make it to everything in whatever the will of council is.
Councillor Mintz?
At what time?
Supper time.
Supper time? Okay. Yeah, either day.
They proposed the evening, sorry, that's a bit flippant. But I would think probably at or near mealtime, or we could arrange it around dinner together first, something like that. Or not dinner together and just meet afterward. I'd be content to let the CAO figure that out and work with their CAO and just tell us. Okay, so let's May 2nd. And if that for some reason changed for them, would there be any objection to giving a CAO authorization, just bump it down to the 9th? We're good with that? Okay. I mean, I think some of the discussion that might be reasonable to happen there would be things like there's an opportunity to talk about community transportation directly with them. There's an opportunity to talk about emergency services and planning and all of those things. And we'll have one more meeting before then to go with other topics. But is there anything else that anybody thinks would be urgent and critical for them?
Could you say that again? What is the topics we're gonna be talking about?
Well, I'm thinking that it'd be reasonable, like, I'm not entirely sure what they have in mind, but there's an opportunity to talk about community transportation. Because Councillor Holland, they're not a participant, is that correct?
Correct.
Emergency services, how the provision of that, right? Because I think my understanding is that as it relates to regional type emergencies, they've abdicated their responsibility to the county's emergency management team. But also, you know, there's fire and
Fire
fire
services, yeah,
services too.
yeah.
Probably bylaws usually a good, given some of the other discussions we've had at our table, maybe bylaw enforcement and opportunity there.
Yeah,
And then whatever else seems to come up with this year.
Yeah.
We can bring this back at our next meeting, but just the timing gets short then. Other items, starting, why don't we start with Councillor Cromwell and work our way around? Changes or additions to the calendar?
Nothing at this time.
Nothing. Councillor Gerlich? Councillor Kapitanek? Councillor Kapitanek says nothing. Councillor Anderson?
There's a Regional Emergency Advisory Committee meeting on April 23rd.
Regional Emergency Advisor on April 23rd. I have to add the North Alberta Northeast Bears and Reeves meets on the 10th of April. And because of the way the tax rate bylaw, the timing of that, and in discussion with the CAO, when the administration expects to be able to present that to us, I'm going to propose that we have a special meeting of council via Zoom on the morning of May 16th to pass the final reading of that bylaw at 9:30 via Zoom. That's it for me. Councillor Wallach.
Excuse me, ASB on April 24th. I think that's it.
Councillor Chamzek. No library. Special meeting on the 16th of May. Once we're around, we'll come back to you. Councillor Holland, floor is yours.
Thank you. The 16th of May, I'm not available. The 12th, Trails meeting was canceled and rescheduled for the 26th of April tentatively. The 19th of April, the Trails meeting has been canceled and tentatively rebooked for May 10th.
So the Trails meetings on the 12th and 19th are canceled. One is booked for the 26th of April. The other one is May 10th. Okay. Councillor Mins. Councillor Mins says nothing. Back to Councillor Cromwell.
Thank you for the May 16th special meeting. Are there going to be a bunch of documents that we're going to be getting, or?
No, it's the approval of the tax rate bylaw, and just in keeping with not doing all three readings, because we can't leave it till the 23rd, or sorry, till the 30th, because tax notices have to go out. And I don't want to assume that we'll get universal support for three readings on the 14th. So I'm providing lots of notice of my intent to call a special meeting on the 16th. I mean, it's
And Mr. Chairman,
it
there would
lasted
be a,
5 minutes.
we would prepare an agenda just like any other meeting, and there would be one item on there. That's just second and third reading of mill rate bylaw.
Thank you.
Councillor Wallach, back to you.
Healthcare committee meeting on the 29th of April.
Okay, healthcare on the 29th. Now that we've had a minute to think, is there any more things to add, change? Seeing none. Is there someone willing to move the adoption of the calendar as amended? Councillor Mins has moved the calendars as amended. Any further discussion on that issue? Seeing none. On the question of the adoption of the calendars, all those in favor? Opposed? The count is 9-0 and the motion is adopted. We are at number 10.1D. Councillor Mins.
yeah, I put some, I put the front cover page and not in the agenda and everything, but I just thought I'd bring a few items discussed regarding the Alice meeting on April 3rd. It was very nice to have them come to Athabasca and sit in our council chambers. It was to show off this room is great. What's coming up with Alice right now is administration costs are getting to be more and more just due to the fact of more and more projects being put on. And with the funders, there's three different varieties of funding going on. And some funders won't fund administration. They want all their costs to go to, which is understandable, right? They want all their costs to go to the project. And there's some funders that'll actually fund all administration. So starting to get really tight on the administration costs. So there, just a heads up, there might be an ask coming from the committee to the partners, which is the 3 municipalities, to fund a little bit more on the Alice end. And it is a great the projects are great. They're actually taking care of repairing areas, helping farmers out, just for the conservation end. So, and having the 3 partners, Athabasca, Barrhead, and Westlock, together on this venture it's not as much then, each funding. So I just wanted to bring that forward, that there could be an ask coming forward for possibly funding a little bit more from the municipalities. The other thing is projects. We have in 2022 we put in 13 projects. 23 we put in 16. In 24 we got 21 projects coming forward. And this whole program is really starting to grow, which is very nice to see. And this year, actually, in 24, Athabasca County has the most acreage projects, which is actually a good pat on the back on everybody's end for pushing this initiative forward on the conservation end. So I want to thank everybody for that. It is very nice to see. And there's some great projects coming in. More shelter belts are starting to come through, stuff like that. So yeah, that's about it for that. Thank you.
I thought it was nice to see the information in the RMA package around the projects and work that Alice does. And, when I can share that when I travel for my personal life or council, on a number of occasions, I've been by places and there's a sign up that advertises a project that's Alice is connected to, which I think is great. And I'm hopeful that we do a good job of promoting the good work of the Alice Group through our own social media and website. I think there are opportunities when projects get done for us to do some posting and celebrate that and share it even with our friends at the local media.
Actually comment on that. We're looking at doing a tour of some of the projects. So having the 3 municipalities together, it's the next meeting site is actually in Barrhead, but we got some very nice projects here in Athabasca County. So might move that meeting to Athabasca and then be able to drive some of these projects, have a look at them and everything, and promote them that way. And we can reach out to Jordan and get a few little bit more advertisement on our end on that too. And it's back to the administration costs. That's actually being it's costing more and more for administration. That gets taken out of our actual sign placement. So sometimes you can't buy signs to promote this, just drive down the road. So that's what another thing where, and the Alice committees that fund us are out of the main funder of Alice. They want the community to do more administration, and their funding goes more into projects too, right? So that's just the way it's being. When we first started, it was like, oh yeah, administration hit them hard, and now they're pulling back a bit, saying, okay, can the community take care of the administration for this committee and go from there. So yeah, no, but I agree. It was great to see a lot of Alice stuff at the RMA. That means that they want to get more and more of the stuff going.
Counselor Chemsek.
I just want to say, Counselor Mins, I commend your tenacity and gumption for this committee. You know, it always impresses me to hear the passion in your voice, and it's exciting to see what 2024 will bring for projects in the area. That's awesome. Thank you.
It would be in order to have a motion to receive the reports and updates for information. Counselor Chemsek has moved. If there's no further discussion on the question, the adoption of the motion to receive the reports and updates for information, all those in favor? Opposed? The count is 9-0 and the motion is adopted. It would be appropriate to take a motion to go into closed session. Counselor Kapitanek has moved. We enter closed session. On the question of the adoption of the motion, all those in favor? Opposed? The count is 9-0 and the motion is adopted. Let's take a 5-minute break and reconvene at 1:15. to let So Councillor Cromwell moved the leaving of closed session at 10:36. The count was 9-0. There are no motions coming from the updates provided in closed session. There is no further business on the agenda. Therefore, the meeting is adjourned at 10:38.